Welcome back, viewers, to another List of Legends list, and today we're going to be listing the top 8 Walking Dead episodes. Spoiler warning, of course, if you haven't played The Walking Dead. And now for today's list, I'm going to just be talking about Telltale's The Walking Dead and not the TV show. So that means seasons 1 through 4 of the game. And we also won't be including The Walking Dead Michonne nor the 400 Days DLC, as I don't consider them top 8 material to begin with. But if you'd like to see a list for the show, let me know in the comments down below. And as always, before we begin, make sure to click that like and subscribe button so I know you like my content. Without further interruptions, let's begin. Starting our list off at our number 1 spot, we have The Walking Dead: A New Frontier Episode 3, Above the Law. Now I know people give A New Frontier a bad rap, and I can definitely understand why, since the style just wasn't holding up, especially compared to the first 2 seasons. As well as off the bat, we learned Season 2's ending didn't mean anything. But I'm not going to say I flat out didn't like Season 3 because there are some good moments, like Javier beating down Badger after killing Mari. I can't tell you how much I've been wanting to see that. And that's exactly what we get to see happen in this episode. After getting thrown out of Richmond, Javier and Clementine's group head to a sacred location by David, and all chaos breaks loose when they discover Joan has secretly been ordering Badger's group to rob fellow communities. And that's when we finally get to see Javier take down Badger. This is one of my favorite episodes of The Walking Dead for sure. Maybe it's just because we get to see some major payback to Badger, but who knows. At our number 2 spot, we have The Walking Dead Season 2 Episode 1, All That Remains. And this episode was the foundation for showing that nobody is safe. Not even in the first 10 minutes, we see off the bat, we see Omid tragically get killed when a stranger girl is trying to rob Clementine, and the emotion just right in your face, and it gives you the realistic feel, since characters can die at any moment, and Omid's death proved that. This episode is also the introduction of the cabin group members, so we get to meet Luke, Pete, Nick, Carlos, Sarah, Alvin, and of course Rebecca. We also get to hear one of my favorite Clementine one-liners, "Still not bitten." Number 3, we have The Walking Dead Final Season Episode 1, Done Running. And while this episode starts off pretty slow, once you meet the school kids at Erickson, then I find it gets really interesting, especially with character development. This episode really does a good job with introducing a great combinations of characters, like Marlon, Luis, Ruby, Ten, etc. The ending was a nice big twist with Marlon trying to frame Clementine for the murder of Brody, as well as the visuals of the thunderstorm and all just perfection. Definitely a great way to kick off the final season. Hitting our halfway point on our list, we have The Walking Dead Season 2 Episode 5, No Going Back. Now I remember before this episode came out, everyone was speculating and theorizing that this episode would be the death of Clementine. And I was one of those people, but when the episode released, I was blown away. Not only does Clementine survive, but you get multiple endings. Now I'm well aware that Season 3 really screwed up these endings, but it was nice to see various endings prior to Season 3's release. You could end up alone, you could end up with Jane, you could end up with Kenny, you could also end up in Wellington. So I just think it was a nice touch at the time to be able to actually have a different ending, before Season 3 came along and screwed things up. Number 5, I chose The Walking Dead, the final season Episode 4, Take Us Back. So yes, it's another finale. Seems like all my favorite episodes are finales and premieres, but hey, it's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts down below and what episodes are your favorites. Anyways, in the final episode ever of The Walking Dead game, we see the unthinkable happen. Clementine gets bitten. Yes, you heard right, Clementine gets bitten, and it sort of plays out how it did back with Lee in Season 1. And you have the options of leaving Clementine or killing her, so she doesn't turn. Just seeing poor AJ having the same decision making as Clementine is just really depressing. Just when all hope seems to be lost, drumroll please, Clementine miraculously lives. Even though she is bitten, AJ just cuts off Clementine's leg, so she ends up surviving. I guess AJ ends up cutting off the leg in time because, as we saw with Lee, even if you cut off his arm, he still dies. So you definitely have to be quick on that. Number 6, I chose The Walking Dead Season 1 Episode 1, A New Day. Bet none of y'all seen that one coming. But how can I not? This is the introduction episode to one of the best games in Telltale history. We meet and play as Lee Everett and find Clementine. We have to keep her safe in this apocalyptic world. We of course learn that the Walking Dead game is in the same universe as the comic books, so we get to meet characters from the book such as Glenn and Herschel. We also meet my favorite character in the Telltale's game series, Kenny and his family. So what more could you ask for? Nearing the end of our list on our number 7 spot, we have The Walking Dead Season 1, Episode 2, Starved for Help. This episode was by far the most craziest episode of all time, just because of the fact we learned the St. Johns are actually holding our group hostage to eat them. Yes, cannibalism. When I first played this episode, this is something I never would have ever expected. When you first meet the St. Johns outside the fence, they definitely felt untrustworthy and I knew something was up, but I can't say I expected cannibalism. Also, in this episode you have a lot of interesting choices, especially with choosing who you're going to give your food to since our group is super low on rations. You also get the main choices of who you're going to take sides with, either Lily or Kenny, and I think that choice is pretty obvious. Kenny all the way. At our great number 8 spot on our list, we have The Walking Dead Season 1 Episode 5, No Time Left. And oh boy, this episode had literally everyone crying in their seats when we see our journey come to an end, with Lee unfortunately dying from his bite on his arm. No matter if you choose to cut it off or not, since they don't cut it off soon enough. But this episode to me is by far the most emotional episode in the entire Walking Dead game. Seeing Lee's journey with Clementine come to an end and a new story of Clementine beginning. You just have so many characters you've gotten so attached to, just seeing them all gone is the most saddest stuff in the world. I mean, this game won Game of the Year and I can definitely see why. It's phenomenal, and if you guys want to see more Walking Dead content on the channel, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. I do top 8 videos primarily, but I also do everything else, so any ideas you guys have, leave them in the comment box down below. Alright viewers, that is the end of our list. Be sure to let me know what list you'd like to see next. With all that said, I look forward to seeing you with our next list.